Nikkita Oliver.
So I've been trying to think about what I would say today. And every time I start to think about it, I just get a very heavy heart. I was sitting with one of my elders yesterday, and she said to me, she actually apologized to me, because she said, I look at you young people and y'all look so tired. And she says, I remember how bad it can get here, what white supremacy can do to all of us, and how she regrets that her own generation did not keep pushing as hard as they did, that they settled, that some laws got put in place that made us feel a little more comfortable, that made us feel a little more seen, but white supremacy still continued to live beneath the surface. This is not just about Colin Kaepernick, while it is about Colin Kaepernick. This is not just about Michael Bennett, while it is about Michael Bennett. This is not just about a white supremacist National Football League that still has a team called the Redskins. We are standing on Duwamish land. A league where it is owned predominantly by white men, white wealthy men, coached mostly by white men, and yet it is black and brown bodies on that field that are used for capitalism, which is no different than the same capitalism that stole black and brown bodies from our homelands, brought us here to work, and still have failed to give us reparations. This is not new. We are in the exact same place we were in 100 years ago. It just feels a little more comfortable. It's a little more civil form of white supremacy. I'm gonna be frank. I don't care if Kaepernick gets a job in the NFL ever again. What I care about is whether or not we as people rally around people like Kaepernick and his family, and we say, you have sacrificed something the system has told you is valuable for something that is incredibly more valuable, that is invaluable. It is our human dignity. We cannot negotiate our dignity with injustice. So if Michael Bennett continues to sit for the national anthem and he loses his job, he loses his opportunity to entertain us with his body, I want to know this community will rise up around him and his family and ensure that they're cared for. I think about athletes like Mahmoud Raoul Abdul, whose home was burned. His home was burned down when he chose to stand up for himself, to say, I'm not going to stand for the national anthem because it violates my rights as a Muslim. It violates my human dignity that tells me this country and that flag are wrong. They have raped, pillaged, and stole from other places and still failed to understand that white supremacy dehumanizes everyone. It dehumanizes everyone. It has been said, MLK said, that it is not the action of my enemies that I will remember, it is the silence of my friends. Malcolm X said, it is not the good white people who stand with us, it is the good white people who go to other white people and tell them that white supremacy is wrong. We can rally and boycott the NFL as much as we want to. At the end of the day, if you are not telling white folks in your life that we have to change an unjust system, that we have to undo white supremacy and white privilege, in 40 years you will find a child that looks just like me saying the exact same things that I am saying, and us struggling with the exact same issues all over again. And black and brown bodies being capitalized on fields, same fields, different cotton, will be the same ones that are taking the brunt of the punishment of white supremacy. I'm not just gonna get up here and say some nice words for y'all. I have an ask. Good, fair white people of Seattle, will you stand up for the homeless black person who was traumatized on the bus, who makes you uncomfortable? Will you stand up for the black trans woman when she tells you she is being brutalized? Will you stand up for the black child in your classroom who's acting out because they've been living in a system and going to schools that has never allowed them to tell their whole story? It matters that we stand with Michael Bennett and Colin Kaepernick. It matters more that we stand with the everyday people we see on the bus, on the streets, and in the bartels when we see white supremacy doing what white supremacy always does. I'm not surprised by injustice. I am surprised when I hear progressive words come out of our mouths and do not see truly progressive actions. So if you're here today, I hope that you'll do more than just rally in this space, but when you see white supremacy staring you down, you will have the courage to take it on full force. Thank you.
And next up we have Nikkita Oliver.
I just want to encourage y'all to remember that at the end of the day, justice is really just us being just us. That we can go to as many rallies as we want to, we can read all of the books that deepen our analysis, but if we're not acting as just people, we're not going to have a more just nation. And we have to accept that justice in an inequitable system means that some of us are going to have to do with less. Some of us have always been given more, born into more, given more privilege, more right, and more access. And balance means that we first have to move through equity to get to equality. Equality means sameness. Equity means I give you what you need to be successful. And when we think about justice, when we think about ending white supremacy, when we think about what it means to redeem standing on stolen land, some of us are going to have to be willing to give up some things to see the whole of humanity be healthier. And I'm asking you that if you're going to show up and be here in this way, you have to show up and be here in that way. That equity means doing something different. In 40 years, I don't want to see our young people having the same conversations. In 40 years, I want to see our young people united. I want them to be able to see each other as family, as relatives, and that only happens if we're willing to move through equity. So justice is just us being just us. Justice is just us being just us. Justice is just us being just us. Thank you, y'all.